sudden depressurization, the drop in pressure would be compensated by onboard pressurization systems for a time sufficient for the crew to don spacesuits, transfer to their transport craft, and close the communication hatch. Naturally, now that there are larger long-term orbital stations, which are manned in turn by many crews, micrometeorite monitoring aboard such stations has gained in importance.
Can we learn to predict meteoric showers and their duration and intensity? And how dangerous would an encounter with such space wanderers be for the crew of an interplanetary spacecraft?
I think the answers to those questions will have to wait until more has been learned in this field. As for the Mir station, it carries 3 sensors for micrometeorite monitoring. And the experiments being performed by the cosmonauts should help to gain a better understanding of this phenomenon and of the extent of the hazard it poses for spacemen.
Scientists have time and again shown that many myths and legends do in fact relate to real events in the distant past. Much that the ancients attributed to miracles has not been satisfactorily explained by science. For instance, the riddle of black lightning.
The ancient Indian epic poem Mahabharata says that about 3,500 years ago, the city of Mohenjo-daro disappeared from the face of the earth. And it disappeared under fairly mysterious circumstances. A blinding glare filled the sky, the air itself seemed to be ablaze, and a massive explosion occurred. The high temperature boiled all the waters, and the fish looked as if they had been burnt. In 1922, archaeologists discovered the ruins of the city. Excavations confirmed the legend about a catastrophe. Scientists found heat-warped stones and traces of fire and of an exceedingly powerful explosion. All the buildings within a radius of a kilometer had been fully destroyed. The posture of skeletons showed that just before their death, people had been strolling calmly in the streets. The ashes of Mohenjo-daro bore a resemblance to those of Hiroshima and Nagasaki after the atomic bomb explosions there, where the blast wave and radiation came from above. In view of the absence of a radioactive background around the city, let us immediately discard the idea of a nuclear explosion. Let us not waste time on the notion of the intervention of extraterrestrial beings. Rather, let's try to explain this tragedy in terms of purely earthly and natural agencies. It is known that the ancient Greeks and Romans on many occasions described blazing chariots appearing in the nocturnal sky. The American Indians spoke of round baskets, and the Japanese of phantom ships with glowing lights. Such are the facts. What can modern science make of them? It's been established that the effect of cosmic rays and electric fields can produce chemically active particles in the Earth's atmosphere. These particles are capable of coalescing into hovering aerosol clusters shaped as spheres of varying diameters. They've come to be known as physical chemical formations, PCFs. Judging from rock drawings, it was PCFs that were probably observed by prehistoric people as many as 50,000 years ago. A reference to them can be found in an ancient Egyptian chronicle dating back to the reign of Thutmose III. There are several types of PCFs. Some cold may exist for a long time without releasing energy and without radiating light. As regards shape, they resemble rugby footballs and are clearly visible against the background of the dark sky. There is a hypothesis that they are ball lightning, which has not yet flared up, and this is why the phenomenon has been called black lightning. But glowing PCFs dazzling white or lemon yellow, which emerge independently of any thunder phenomenon, are called chemoluminescent formations, CLFs. They may float freely through the air, remaining for long at the Earth's surface, moving swiftly along bizarre trajectories, alternately darkening and flaring up, in which case their temperature reaches several thousand degrees. Like ball lightning, CLFs can explode, instantly igniting buildings and land. On September 21, 1910, New Yorkers watched astounded for 3 hours as hundreds of atmospheric glowworms overflew their city. It was a fantastic sight. In the Soviet Union, a similar phenomenon was observed over Khabarovsk on the night of August 24, 1978. Suddenly, a shrill whistle like that of a jet engine was heard. The darkness of night was replaced by daylight. The luminous object gradually descended and flared up brightly on the very surface of the earth. At this landing site, the soil was charred and rocks were melted by the intense heat. And although this happened nearly 10 years ago, nothing grows there to this day. Or another example, on a September evening in 1984, the sky over one of the farms in the Udmurt Autonomous Republic of the USSR suddenly flared up, sending down white balls which, looping and circling, landed smoothly on the ground. But the effect was not confined to the glow. Within a radius of 20 kilometers, electric transformers and transmission lines were put out of order. Scientists have established that CLFs and ball lightning may release considerable amounts of toxic substances which poison the air. Apparently, the Mohenjo-Daro people were killed not only by the explosion and fire, but also by such poisonous gases. Calculations show that almost 3,000 large black lightning events and over 1,000 CLFs must have appeared in the atmosphere during that tragedy. Fortunately, this catastrophe seems to have been unique. Isolated ball lightning at the Earth's surface, or CLFs at a great height, are more frequent. However, pilots say that on many occasions they've flown over colossal clusters not only of black lightning, but also of varicolored CLFs. And in 1983, Professor Bonil of the Zacatecas Observatory in Mexico took the first photograph of a PCF. Since then, hundreds of such pictures have been taken. It's natural to ask, can the dangerous consequences of this natural phenomenon be prevented in our time? It's dreadful to think what would happen to a modern city of millions if masses of black lightning and CLFs were to appear in the atmosphere above it, as at Mohenjo-Daro. But then, mankind is now not as helpless as it was in antiquity. Modern science has radars for detecting such formations or fallout from PCFs. Further, by using rockets, man can provoke an artificial air explosion at a great height or treat the object with chemical reagents to render PCFs inexplosive and make them disintegrate rapidly.